Welcome to GRADD Dialogue. My name is Kirk Kirkpatrick, and we have a dialogue going today with the Executive Director of the GRADD offices located here in Owensboro, but as Jiten will tell you, for the 7 counties that GRADD serves and has served for 50 years now, no stranger to Owensboro and that area. Jiten, it's a pleasure to be able to talk to you, and let me be the first to congratulate you on 50 years.
Well, thank you, Kirk. And it is kind of odd that I'm sitting on this side of the interview, but I think I'm glad that we decided to have you to kind of tell us a story about the GRADD.
Well, we have it's quite a story to tell, and I think a lot of people may be surprised that of the 50 years that GRADD has been in operation, you're also celebrating kind of a birthday. You've been with GRADD for 45 and a half years, so you really were there almost from the very beginning. How was it in the very beginning when GRADD was really it had just gotten off the ground, less than 4 years old?
It's a great story, and I kind of think about that, and I hear, when I was interviewed for the job, at that time, they were looking for an environmental engineer, and just came fresh out of the graduate school in West Virginia. And then the director here, George Russell, who interviewed me, that 25 years old with the long hair, and now it's a history. But I think it's important to know that the George Russell, who started the GRADD, and actually he even started the whole area development district concept in '68. And then I think he left us in about 10 years and joined Senator Ford's, administrative assistant in Washington, then came back and worked with the Governor Collins. But I think it was what he started out. And I believe, at that time, there were about 6 people, and now we are almost 100 people, and serving GRADD, 7 counties.
Well, Jiten, how did you get here from West Virginia? You went to school there, didn't you?
Yes, I went to school for the environmental engineering, and GRADD always has this, even continues now. They looked upon GRADD as a combination of rural and urban. Owensboro being urban, the rest being rural. So they always use us as a demonstration on new programs. And the GRADD was one of the 5 regional councils across the nation who were asked to kind of plan for solid waste management. This is, again, mind you, 73. It was kind of new about this environmental planning and everything else. So when GRADD was looking for an engineer to head this project, our director at that time talked to JDQ, which happened to be a big consulting firm in town at that time, and how they had my resumes, ended up, being a story that I've been asked to come back for the interview a couple of times, and here I am. This is my home.
Did you ever dream that GRADD would grow from an environmentally focused organization to the wide breadth of subjects and economic development that it is today? Because really, I think there are very few people not only watching, but in the entire 7-county region that haven't been directly touched by the results of GRADD's efforts.
That's a great question, and that is true. Even though we were formed in early 70s to do the regional planning, land use planning, planning and zoning, getting some downtown development and everything else. But as things change in Washington and Frankfurt, we were asked to take on some new challenges, and that were aging program and transportation, workforce development. The list goes on and on. I always tell the elected officials and citizens that whatever happens in Washington, how the wind is blowing, we get affected. If they want to spend a lot of money and developing a safety program for the highway, they'll come to the regional councils like GRADD. Hey guys, would you help us to how best we can spend this dollar and provide the best quality of services to the citizens? Because they know that we have the connection, they know that we have the system set up, and that's our success. That's how we are relevant. It continues to be relevant to the elected officials, the citizens, and all the families in our 7 counties.
Well, I think at the celebrating your 50th anniversary of the Green River Area Development District, that's what GRADD stands for, of course, it sounds like as your focus may have changed, it didn't, you never gave up something. You just kept adding from transportation to Meals on Wheels. Where you saw a need, you grew. Is that because of generally the need or the support you got from Frankfurt, Washington, and certainly the local officials?
And Kirk, it's kind of like how you have been successful over the years in private sectors, along with some of the community services. You've been so known to have done an excellent job. Same thing with the GRADD. I think we build the culture. We build the culture among the staff, among the board members. And also my motto is that you keep on changing to be the same. You keep on changing to reflect the new demands, the new demographics, new technology. At the same time, keep that, the core of credibility, excellence, and even being relevant. So if you do those things, I believe that you can, probably, tackle any problem that comes to you, to provide the services and everything. That's what the GRADD is about. I would not do in 45 years, or even 50 years, or even 100 years with that by myself. I have to have a great core staff, and GRADD has been lucky to have great professional staff. In my 45 years, Kirk, I must have hired at least thousands of people, and every time I go, I used to work at GRADD. They all have a great, impression about, spending their life with GRADD. Same thing with the elected officials, and that takes in a long way. And then I think when I need somebody, I can call on to help us out to really solve some of the challenges that we are facing.
Well, we've talked about the generalities and benefits of GRADD, but we've got a short video we wanted to share with you and the audience, because this gives you a much clearer picture and some specific examples of the success that GRADD has enjoyed.
The GRADD region in Western Kentucky make up a small part of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and for the last 50 years, they have been hard at work improving the quality of life for the people who live here. But the impact they have reaches far beyond the borders that make up this region. And while it may seem that this mostly rural region is a bit behind the times, if you look closely, you will find something different. An agency that continually comes to the aid of the citizens in its 7 counties. But how they have evolved over the last 50 years is quite remarkable. Let's take a trip through the region so you can see several examples of the work GRADD does and the people who are affected by its work. There is no debating that finding skilled workers is the biggest obstacle that companies in our region face. And GRADD is taking steps to help provide the workforce with the training they need to be relevant in today's job market. Our first stop is Jiten Contracting, located in Owensboro, where they help train the next generation of welders and tradesmen.
We have these individuals come in and they don't have any welding skills at all. They're learning from scratch. So they're going to come in making just a basic entry-level wage, close to minimum wage, really. And they go through an 8-week training program and learn all these processes. And then they come out making 18, 20, if not more, dollars on the hour. So just in a matter of 8 weeks, they can get out there and they can earn a competitive living wage. It's making a significant impact all over.
Next, we talked with Tyler Ashton, who without GRADD wouldn't have the job he has now.
I actually had an experience where I had to sleep in my car for like a week. I had a little Scion TC that I was sleeping in. And I'm a pretty big dude, it was rough on the knees. I wouldn't have been able to finish school without GRADD, with other financial assistance. I currently work at Amazon at the facility in Shepherdsville as a maintenance supervisor. I've more than doubled my income. There's nothing I would change at all about my experience. It's been really humbling, that's for sure. I've just been really appreciative of the whole process. Things could have turned out a lot worse for me.
The on-the-job training doesn't just extend to the manufacturing sector. There are also programs in healthcare and a future apprenticeship program that will offer companies involvement in skills development that are relevant to market demands. This is a win-win for both the workers and the companies. While in Sullivan, located in Union County, which by the way, you might miss if you blink, we stopped by to talk to Catherine Mays, who for many years gave of herself by volunteering at the local school in her area. But after being diagnosed with bone cancer, she had to start worrying about caring for herself.
If I take a motion to move this, well, I just move it wherever. If I take a motion to move one bedroom to another, I did. Now I can't, and I can't mop the floors and all. I try, but I do. But you just can't do it, and so until anybody's been to where that they couldn't, and then somebody steps in and they act like that they are glad to help you also, you know. But I think the Lord will reward them many of the time, and I appreciate it very much. And they bring the Meals on Wheels, and I mean, which of the people that brings it is good. The food is good. It's been a blessing in disguise. I mean, it's just something that you can't, until you've been there, you can't really, at least I can't explain how I really feel. Because, I mean, I just can't do it.
It's people like Catherine who often get overlooked. But GRADD steps in and provides the vehicle for these heroes to get the service they deserve.
I don't know what I would do without them, and I appreciate them very much, very, very much.
Jason Koger, who receives services through GRADD's personal care attendant program, gets assistance with most things we take for granted.
On March 1st, 2008, I was riding a four-wheeler and I came in contact with a down power line, took 7,200 volts of electricity, and in order to save my life, basically they had to amputate both arms. A lot of people don't understand whenever a life change, episode happens like that. I was 29 years old. We went from having 2 kids and a husband and a wife to a wife having 3 kids. People don't realize how important your hands are. Somebody had told me about this program that GRADD, they help people out, and I think you have to have lost 2 limbs in order to be in this program. Basically, I would be the employer to hire, whoever I wanted to hire to help me do things that I really couldn't do. And luckily, I've been able to, hire my wife. And it's funny because I'll tell my wife, it's like, yeah, I'm your boss, so it's just hard for me to explain, how good they are. I mean, they're very helpful and very willing to help, and they want to see me succeed. I mean, that's the number one thing. They want to see us succeed and be the same happy family that we were before I lost my limbs.
GRADD's Community and Economic Development Department has helped several businesses get off the ground. One such example of this is the Little Kentucky Smokehouse, located in rural Union County, owned and operated by the husband and wife team of Linda and Jimmy Baird. This business was funded by almost $1 million in GRADD loans.
It has helped enable us to employ over 200 employees from the surrounding area. There are many companies that we use locally for our supplies, for our goods. So GRADD has affected not only us, but Union County and really the United States, because our hams are in Texas, Florida, Maine, Washington, all over the United States.
They started from nothing, and now their customer base includes Walmart, Kroger, Winn-Dixie, Meijer, and Food Lion. They attribute their success to God's grace and the help GRADD provided them in getting funding to build the plant. GRADD has played a vital role in many regional projects. Over in the McLean County area, they helped organize and fund the updating and combining of several water systems, doubling its capacity and turning it into a regional system that now provides over 2 million gallons of water a day to its users.
We really consider this regionalism because this is one of the first true efforts that we have ever had in this county of uniting everybody behind a common goal for a service. This plant opened into full production in early April of this year. To say it's been a success is an understatement. The involvement of the Area Development District has been key. They have directed us through the processes, and without that assistance, we would be struggling still, probably trying to figure out the direction to go with this.
Next, we look at the Natcher Bridge project. The bridge was constructed for 2 reasons: to relieve traffic congestion on the aging Owensboro Bridge in downtown Owensboro, and as part of a larger project to make U.S. Highway 231 a 4-lane road between Owensboro and Interstate 64. GRADD played an organizational role in helping get this bridge built.
Well, one of the biggest projects that I experienced in Owensboro was the development of the Natcher Bridge. We worked on that for years, back when I was at the chamber and then when I was mayor. Matter of fact, I campaigned on it. The great thing about GRADD is that there is a group of highly trained people who specialize in things like transportation planning and can work with the federal government, work with Frankfurt and all that to get the money here. So as a funding source, as a planning source to tie into the federal plans and all that was absolutely critical, or you would not have gotten a bridge across the Ohio River.
One of the more exciting projects for the area is the I-69 project. We talked with Judge Executive Brad Schneider about the impact this will have on the region.
I-69 is one of the most transformational infrastructure projects that this generation of Northwest Kentuckians will see. It has the potential to truly energize and transform the economic futures of towns in Northwest Kentucky and Southwest Indiana. The GRADD staff have been much more than just support. They've also helped lead in this respect because they understand the economic potential of this and how it can affect our region. And so they didn't merely just wait for instruction. They got right in there with us. And I don't think it could have gone as well without GRADD as it has, so we really appreciate that.
That brings us to the Bluegrass Crossing Industrial Park. With many counties limited on the amount of land they have for industrial development, this project brought the counties of Davis, Hancock, McLean, and Ohio and their resources together and created something that can benefit them all.
We have three industry there now that employ about 900 people, and we encourage them, obviously, to hire people from the counties represented as a part of Bluegrass Crossings. You know, if we were just a private organization out here trying to do something on our own, we wouldn't have the knowledge, the experience that GRADD has offered to us. So it's made a good team, volunteers who want to be involved, and our organization knows how to get involved.
Another meaningful project, the Connect GRADD Internet Service, provides internet to a user group that wouldn't have access otherwise.
Connect GRADD is not there to make a dollar. They're not there to make a profit. They're there to provide a service to people who would otherwise not have that service. I had a gentleman who lives in Ohio County, and there was some concern about the speed, and he actually came to me after one of our meetings and said, "I want to thank you, Judge, for continuing to support it, because without that service, I would not have been able to complete some online classes and get my baccalaureate degree."
We have seen just a small sample of the projects that GRADD has been a part of for the last 50 years. But it's not just the past that excites us. It's the potential for the future.
I want to thank all of you watching this video for trusting in GRADD for the last 50 years and believing in what we do and how we help the communities. However, the next 50 years is in your hand. You need to decide what type of mold the GRADD should be coming in to meet the new demands at the local level. So I would charge all the cities and counties or elected officials, citizens, nonprofits, and everybody else to really come back to GRADD and say, by the way, we want you to tackle things like this because you have that connections with the people and also with the success in the past. So I would charge and challenge all of you, to really help GRADD out to see the brighter future for the next 50 years.
But Jiten, that is a pretty tough act to follow. That is an outstanding video. I was intrigued by several of the stories that were shown there. One was Meals on Wheels. What a vital service. How did that idea even come up? And then it's one thing to have the idea, but how do you put it in operation?
It kind of goes back to what I was mentioning earlier, that some of the demonstration, and the GRADD was asked to do a demonstration providing, we call it home services and Meals on Wheels. So they realized that the seniors, the biggest need they have is hot meals. Because oftentimes, they are on their own, they are staying by themselves, and there is no social interaction and everything else. So they came to us, and we did that for a while, and then they realized that this is really successful initiative. So the federal government funded all the agencies like GRADD to provide the Meals on Wheels. And I think we decided that it's better to have one centralized way to provide the meals and distribute to the 7 counties. So we put together a central kitchen through some grants and everything else at what is now Monday Center on 2nd Street. And they, through a contract with the canteen, they are doing almost 1,200 to 1,400 meals, hot meals for us, for GRADD. And then we have the system set up where
1,400
meals a day. And if
so how many total meals have you served?
I would say, maybe about 35 to 40 million meals.
Wow.
Because you talk about every single day. And then also, this has been going on for the last 35 to 40 years, so it kind of adds up. But I think the important piece is that, oftentimes the drivers who deliver the meal, to Mrs. Jones and somewhere in the rural Davis County or so, or even in Owensboro, oftentimes he or she is the only interaction with the citizen, the senior citizen there. So I think that is really great program. Now those seniors who can afford to travel, we also provide the meals every day at the senior centers. And GRADD, working with the 7 counties, we've got 23 different sites in the 7 counties where they can get the meals.
Well, that's just one of many examples,
Yes.
and we'll talk about some others. But so what you're saying is there is usually money out there, sometimes federal money, sometimes state, local, or there's certainly a need and no money.
Right.
You provide a way to efficiently use these funds to meet a need. Let's talk about an example. The Kentucky Smokehouse farm that really was a mom and pop operation. What intrigued you about that? And did you really see that there could be a national distribution company built from there and 200 employees or so?
Yeah, again, Kirk, that's a great example. That was one of the, I guess you can say, the most successful initiative or in the project we have funded through GRADD. And in fact, that project was recognized by the federal government as one of the, innovative way of using some of the Economic Development Administration money to do what needs to be done. The Little Smokehouse, which is Linda Baird and Jimmy Baird, and they came to us and they started on their own, making some the ham and everything else. And they came to us and we want to expand, and I think we again about 2 or 3 different loans over the time. I think we had loaned them over $1 million, from GRADD, through the revolving loan fund program, and then we also got them some grants, some other programs and everything else. Right now, that's the one is in Union County, and they have over 200 employees. You saw in the video. Along with that, I think you can find that product all over, Walmart's and Myers and all those things. So I think that shows that, with the ingenuity of the private sector, and GRADD coming in to provide some financial assistance, as well as making connection to some of the folks that have been, successful in those areas. And I think, that's a great project.
So you hold all of them to these standards because these loans are paid back, of course.
Yes.
This isn't a giveaway program as such. Well, things are certainly rosy with regard to economic development, the results of your efforts. But I wonder if people realize, and can you kind of take us behind the scenes when things aren't good? When you lose a large industry, especially one that is so vital to some of these surrounding counties that aren't as diversified economically as Davis County. How can you help them when a tragedy like that takes place?
Well, that's a great question. Again, I think we help in a couple of ways. One is that if the business has a downturn and they need some additional funds to reinvent themselves, we can provide the financial assistance or connect with the bankers and other places. We provide the seed money for them to come back to to their foundation or the feet. However, oftentimes, without any of their fault, they lose business. They have to unfortunately, lay off the employees. So that's why we come in and we have a rapid response team. Our staff, along with the community college folks, the vocational folks, and we sit down with the employees who've been supposed to be, maybe laid off or something, or maybe in line to be losing the job, and look at each one to see what kind of skills they need to re-enter the market. If they want to go to school, we provide the tuition for them to go back to college or get some specialized training, and also more or less put together a plan so they could be again, valuable, citizens in the 7 counties, because there's a lot of experience, that is being wasted. As we want to figure out how we can match that experience with other jobs that in the region. So it's a rapid response in the program.
Well, and on the other side, during successful time, there's challenges as well. Having an unemployment rate this low is certainly wonderful on one side, but if you're an employer, it's very difficult to find a trained employee, and GRADD has really taken the lead there.
That is a good question as well, because oftentimes, even though they say unemployment is very low, but at the same time we hear from the employers they cannot find anybody. It's not just the employees they're looking for the employees who wants to work. Now, the biggest challenge we face in the society right now is that, it's difficult to find soft skills, the skills that they want to get up in the morning and go to work. They're not in the drug abuse. They're all the other things that really challenges for the employers to get a qualified person who really would do the job for them. So that's where we come in. And we also set up some training programs. If somebody wants to, get in the job, we provide those things. If there's somebody has some challenges personally, we connect that to some of the services that are being offered in the area too. So you're right. I think, just because of 4% or less unemployment rate, it is even a bigger challenge for them to get a qualified folks.
Well, Jiten, we had talked earlier about I had said earlier that there are very few Davis Countyans or any of the surrounding counties that haven't been truthfully firsthand touched by the projects. I mean, you talk about the Natcher Bridge or the Riverport, the air park, right. On and on. There hasn't been a large entity like that the GRADD hasn't been part of. But what if I'm a businessman, I do want to expand, and I'm looking for some expertise, and can you provide that or direction? Is that also part of your charge?
That is true. Even though our funding comes in, Kirk, from different federal and state sources and programs, and we implement the programs, because the bigger things that, by implementing the programs, we make connections. We have connections with the folks in Frankfurt, Washington, even locally, and all those things. So somebody comes back like you, and there is a challenge, then yes, I think we'll put together a team. Doesn't have to be all the GRADD staff, but we will take I tell my staff, never tell anybody, no, we can't do that. If we can't do it, we always put together a program, the individuals in the group to really look at those things. One of the example could be, we were approached that there is no viable internet service in the rural area. So what we did, we put together experts, and we got together and have somebody to tell us how we can put together broadband service. And then when Davis County leaders came to us, I think we'd like to do that. And I said, wait a minute, broadband doesn't recognize the boundary. So we convinced all the elected officials in all 7 counties, and they agree. And then we have Connect GRADD, which still remains to be the only publicly owned internet service in the rural areas that that provide the wireless services. So the point is that if there is a initiative that that could be implemented, we will do the research. Because we are so much engaged with our counterparts nationally, so that we can find out somebody must have tackle that challenge as well. So I think we're going to work together and solve something together.
Well, I think one of the things, as I see, when I have a toothache, I go to the dentist, and when I have to have my taxes done, I go to an accountant. What you bring to the party is this expertise and even the ability to find and write grants. There are so many grants there, and the novice, as myself, needs help in acquiring that, and you can point those people in the right direction and actually help them with it.
Yes, we do, and we get calls, from nonprofits, even somebody who is really want to have certain program they would like to help a cause. They'll come to us and we do the research and write the grant for them, or at least point in the right direction to get the grants done too.
Well, it's been with GRADD Connect as an example, and of course your success in workplace development, workforce development.
Right.
I think of transportation and just the I-69 project, and this spur is going to make a big difference too.
Absolutely.
So you really encompass a wide variety of virtually every entity that affects our community.
Right. And I think, that's a great point, because, we do that based on, do the planning, get ready for the future. if you look at the whole transportation needs for the region, even for Davis County, we think about, based on the growth is happening in Davis County, what we will need in the next 20, 30 years or so. And that gives an idea, how we can go about it, because it's not that easy to get the funding in 1 year. It takes a long time, like Ohio River Bridge, So I think we had to be prepared, not only in transportation, for everything. So the time comes, we're ready to, here it is, this is my project, this is the funding, and give us the funding so we can implement those programs
Great
for the
success.
citizens.
If you've not, you have beautiful offices too, by the way. The GRADD office is located at the end of the bypass, where the Spectrum Entertainment is, the old cable radio TV?
Yes.
Really right near the Joe Ford Center, if you will.
Exactly right, yes.
And so you can't miss it. So you want to give them your phone number? And
Yes, absolutely.
Your website is very informative too, by the way. I was there earlier today.
You can call 270-926-4433, or you can always call me on my cell phone too at 270-993-9950. And let me say that, GRADD, again, I said earlier, it is not Jiten. It is the staff and then also the elected officials. All judge executives and mayor work together, to make sure that the GRADD is on the right direction and hopefully ready for the next 50 years as well.
Well, it sounds like you are ready. And Jiten, as a person that was born and raised in Owensboro and have been able to use many of the unique opportunities and different successes that you've been able to provide to us. Thank you and your staff. You got a great team too. Well, we'll be back with you with another episode in 50 years, so set your calendar, and we'll see how far they've gone. Actually, GRADD will be back next month as well. Thank you very much, Jiten.
Thank you.
Happy anniversary, 45 and a half years at GRADD, and we'll see you next month here on GRADD Dialogue.